Right, so I've just been watching a video by some Shill and that, where he's trying to plaster around the pedo idea, like really sort of laying it on thick and that, plastering the pedo idea about, right? And sort of this pedo idea, right, is obviously another sort of Psy-Op and all that, right, by the tea drinkers, right? Targeting the natural man, right, and the natural woman in a slightly different way, right? So when you have the pedo thing, right, they're basically linking, right, attempting, right, what it's all about is they're attempting to link the pedo idea, right, to the sex instinct of the natural male, right? Because the sex instinct of the natural male is the thing what they despise and fear and loathe more than anything else. See, it's the greatest threat to the sort of, the building of a eunuch society and all that, right? Is the idea that you can have sort of, natural males walking around who can, perform in that capacity and all that, right? And it reminds us, first off, of the Boy George quote, right, which was sex, I'd rather have a cup of tea, which was a famous quotation by Boy George, right? It sort of says it all, right? Because you've got to remember, right, that these people, right, for the majority part in that, right, these tea people are basically eunuchs, right, fundamentally eunuchs, right? And if they can't sort of, manage to perform in that capacity, right, it's a big, really big deal, some of them do not have it whatsoever, right? You can tell that by looking at certain people and all that. I'm talking about, like people on the street. I'm not, not famous people. I know, you can tell that they do not have it whatsoever, right? It's obvious enough, right? But if they do have it, it's a really big occasion or something, right? And it's like, if you've seen that advert on the TV box, where there's sort of this bloke, this big fat hairy tea drinker, and he's dancing around in that because he's managed to get it up or something, right? And of course it's an advert for Viagra, right? Which sort of explains it all, like, right? You need 2 boxes of Viagra to sort of perform in it, you know what I mean? And so when of this pedo, right, what they're trying to do is gradually link the pedo idea just to the sort of normal and natural sexual functionings of the natural male, right? And this also ties in with the rape hexing in the media as well, right? So I just walked in last night and caught the sort of Rose McGowan, right, talking about Harvey Weinstein, this sort of Psy-Op in the hex media, right? Of course, Rose McGowan is one of the sort of the girls from the Charmed and that, the Charmed, the hexing, the witches, the 3 witches on the hex. And of course now, right, Rose McGowan looks more like a bloke type of thing, see what I mean? Got the short haircut and all that, like Joan of Arc, like the abused woman who decides to sort of cut the hair off and fight, see, because God told them to do it and all that, see what I mean? The Joan of Arc meme and all that, right? So and then you've got this Weinstein, right? I mean, the idea that Weinstein could, that's not very likely, like, but anyway, right? This Weinstein character is linked to a lot of the sort of macho man movies and all that, right? What they had, in the last 20 years or whatever, right? So you're talking about things like what do you call it, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and all that, and a lot of other, like, these sort of these macho man sort of movies that they used to make and that. So remember, they're trying to set these characters up as gods to you, like sort of Tarantino or something, right? Like Tarantino, they set them up to be gods to the sort of mere mortals and that, see what I mean? So the way it's supposed to work is you're supposed to be worshipping at the altar of, like, Quentin Tarantino or something, you see what I mean? So you're supposed to sort of, love these movies. I mean, personally I think they're garbage and that, you know what I mean? Like Reservoir Dogs and that, but, they were popular at the time, you see what I'm saying? So this links into that sort of the the macho male's image and all that, right, which the tea drinkers created to sort of, you know, for the programming purposes, right? But these things link together, right? And then you've got the hex, right? The hex is to make the natural male, right, conscious in their own mind, right? That if they sort of look at children or anything, right, straight away to sort of become self-conscious in that and think, oh yeah, well, I better not look at these children because you know, they might think I'm a pedo or something. You see what I mean? That's the way it works. The hex on the brain, right? Ditto the type of idea of looking at you know, young women or whatever. You see? Oh, I better not look at these young women walking past because, you know, they might think I'm a rapist or something. You see what I mean? That's the way these hexens are intended to work, right? So we see this here, the pedo idea, right, being bandied about by these shills, right? They've built it up very gradually over the last few years. There was a lot of stuff about like pedo hunters and all this, right? Put about by these T's and these masons, right? Building up a hex about pedo hunters and all this. Of course, it was all staged stuff and that, right? But the intentions is to sort of bring all this together, right? So that, you know, like say you're walking down the street, right, and you see a group of children, right? So if you look and scrutinise at these children too closely, you might see something weird about these children, right? I.e. that you know, that look like the opposite of what they're meant to be, type of thing, you know. If I was walking past the other day, this old bloke and that, right? He was clearly a mason, like he was old bloke and that, but he's like, you know, he had this classic mason sort of stature and that, of like, you know, of an old-fashioned type of mason, you know what I mean? He's quite tall and that, had a hook nose. He's sort of shoulders, he's wearing like an old suit and that, right? So this is like a classic mason of a certain period, right? And he had his sort of, it must have been his daughter and a grandkid with him and all this, right? And I tell you what, I was walking past and he was looking at me like I was like something on the bottom of his shoes or something, you know what I mean? But yeah, I noticed the kid, and the kid just looked like a little boy with long hair and that, you know what I mean? Straight away. So that the whole purpose is to stop you looking too closely, see, by this sort of, you know, cloud of fear that they wish to put in your brain and that, right? And so and this sort of this ties in with a lot of the stuff in the flat earth, right? The mud floods, right, for definite, right? Because the mud floods, right, you have the idea of a mudras, right? A mudras, which is something that comes from I think it's Hindu, right? Hindu or Buddhism type of thing, these Eastern religions and all that, right? You have a mudras, right, which is similar to a mandala, right? So a mandala, and these things are sort of symbols, right, that they use in these Eastern sort of religious practices and all that, right, to sort of focus the attention on and all that, right? So they use them in the Eastern religions, right? So you've got this in there. If you notice, a couple of years ago, they were putting this Mandela effect or something, or Mandela effect or something like that. Anyway, right? But so using that as a sort of, that was obviously a shill, load of rubbish and all that, right? In this mudras thing, right? So you've got your mud floods. So it's a similar thing. It's like a sort of a symbolry to which to fixate the mind, right? And interestingly, in the Eastern sort of philosophies and all that, right, to fixate the mind, right, is a negative thing, is a bad thing. To fixate the mind, say, equals sickness of mind, right? So that's basically the thinking behind it, right? You know, to fixate the mind, right? And the opposite of the fixation of the mind is freedom of the mind. See, you have to free the mind to sort of non-fixate on sort of points, right? And again, when we're talking about points, right, we're talking about the 5 points of the like the pentagram, star and all that, right? So it's like fire, earth, air, water and spirit, right? And if you notice the sort of the Baphomet symbol, right, the goat's head in the middle, right, and the sort of bottom star is pointing down, isn't it? So it's basically, the idea is to fixate on that certain point that goes down, see? I think I've done a little video about down before and all that, see? To fixate the point that's going down, so they want to put the sort of natural man, right, down, the scapegoat idea and all that, to point them downwards, right, while they're sort of free to manoeuvre and all that, right. So you've got them things, right, to you know, so it's all working together as a you know, Psy-Op and that, to basically against the natural, right. And of course you have natural females and that, right, and if they buy into this, see, they become like protective of their children and all that again, so that adds weight to the sort of thing they're going to hate the sort of natural male as well, you see what I'm saying? So it all becomes like a more of a domestic eunuch type of society and all that, which is what they're trying to build. See what I'm saying? So that's the thinking behind this sort of this laying on the pedo trowel and all that, you see what I'm saying?